The chapter starts out with an important comparison to language and height and weight, and it shows us an imaginary world in which all women would be the same height and weight and all men would be the same height and weight, and all this is kind of ridiculous to imagine. The comparison shows us how, like height and weight, we might actually have a very limited control over language, and this is important to acknowledge because our brains are pre-wired to be able to learn and speak language and interpret the language in our environment. So it's important to remember that we really don't have as much control over language as we think we do. Despite many differences in linguists, the type of linguists, what they study, what they're arguing for, all linguists are able to agree that all living languages change, and the only ones that are not changing are dead languages. And this is important to acknowledge because all languages will change over time, and this doesn't mean that the language is decaying or getting worse. It means it's evolving to meet the demanding and changing needs of society and cultures and people. So the more that we learn from ourselves and other cultures, and the more that we invent and create, we adapt our language to meet these needs and interpret new information into our language. This is an important thing to note, that languages are incredibly flexible and responsive to the people speaking them. All languages have flaws, including English. We're not always clear in pronouns or social relationships, but all languages, including English, are able to adapt with ambiguity using things such as body language. So we are able in this way to also be responsive and make up for any lack of understanding or ambiguity in the language. She also pointed out how spoken language is an innate human capacity, and so this is something that we are born and ready to do, but written language is much more difficult. We have to learn how to do it and we have to master this skill, so it can sometimes be valued over spoken language because of how much work goes into it. And she also pointed out towards the end that variety and dialects of a language are a good thing, and there's no such thing as one being better than the other, one being worse. All dialects of a language are equal, and there's, in the eyes of linguists, and there's none that is more grammatically correct than the other. They are just different.